He pressed the boarding pass to his chest as if thin paper could guard him from the weight of 1,000 eyes. The man in the hat with the gold braid on his visor stepped into his path, smile shaped by discipline, not kindness. "Not this line," he said, loud enough for the sound to ripple through the gate like a warning bell. The hum of the terminal collapsed into silence. The boy didn't move. 16, too young to wear such stillness, hoodie zipped to his throat, backpack hanging from one strap. His calm said, "I belong." The captain's gaze replied, "Prove it." Before we fall into what happened next, take a second and breathe. Stories like this aren't just tales, they're reminders of how power sounds when it forgets its purpose. If you believe respect should never depend on appearance, subscribe to King of Tales. Hit the bell, stay until the end, because this one leaves marks. Announcements echoed overhead, cheerful voices stitched over fluorescent light. Families shuffled forward, herding suitcases like restless animals. Beyond the glass, a slow afternoon spilled silver over wings. Boarding for first class began, people moved with practiced importance, scanning watches as though time itself waited for them. The boy stepped forward, quiet but certain, each footstep placed with care, like someone balancing on the invisible edge between permission and defiance. The captain's arm lifted, a barrier polished by habit. "Ticket," he said, tone clipped, official. He didn't look at the pass, his eyes traced the boy's sneakers, scuffed. Hoodie, faded. Backpack, ordinary. He looked everywhere except the truth printed in his hand. "I have it," the boy said softly, his voice balanced, rehearsed, the sound of someone who has faced disbelief before and learned not to shake. He offered the pass. The captain took it between two fingers, expression tight. Around them, curiosity gathered. A gate agent lowered her gaze. A father held his child closer, not knowing why. A teenager half smiled, waiting for spectacle. The air thickened with something unspoken. "First class," the captain read, suspicion hiding behind professionalism. "Seat 2A. Yours?" "Yes." "Bought it yourself?" "Yes." "How old are you?" 16. "Where are your parents?" "Working. Trusting me to get there on time." The captain flipped the pass as though paper could lie. "What's in the bag?" "Clothes," the boy said, then after a breath, "and something fragile." "Electronics?" "Not that." He lifted the pass toward the ceiling lights, pretending to check its color, really searching for something to justify the discomfort crawling under his collar. 26 years in uniform had taught him to smell deceit, now that instinct betrayed him. The stillness in front of him wasn't rebellion, it was grace, but he didn't recognize the scent. A flight attendant drifted closer, young enough to still hope, experienced enough to fear where this was heading. "Captain," she murmured, "boarding's backing up." "It'll wait," he said, without looking. He finally met the boy's eyes. Expecting guilt, he found calm. Calm can be infuriating. "You don't look like a 2A. What does 2A look like?" The question cracked the silence. People shifted. Someone coughed. Someone else frowned. What does belonging look like? Is it a brand, a color, a posture? The captain blinked hard. "Listen," he said, coding control and courtesy, "you can board with Group 5. The back's comfortable. The pass says now." He angled the ticket so the gate agent could scan, thumb covering a thin line of text. She saw it, hesitated, then looked away. Some truths are too fragile for the wrong moment. "Step aside until I verify." "There isn't time for that." "There's time for whatever I say there's time for." His voice snapped through the air like a seatbelt buckle. The boy's grip on the bag tightened. "Please," he said quietly, "I'll miss my window." "What window?" The boy shook his head. "Just, please." Security turned toward them, footsteps echoing on tile. "Problem here?" "No issue," the captain replied, smile fixed, authority rehearsed. Clarifying a seat. Ticket, son, the officer asked. The boy handed it over. The officer actually read it. Beneath seat 2A were the words the captain had hidden: medical priority, courier ID LYS 14. He looked up, voice lower now. He needs to board. The captain's brow furrowed. Why? What's in the bag? The officer asked again. Bone marrow, the boy said. The sound didn't shock, it silenced. Conversations evaporated. Bone marrow, not gadgets. Life, not defiance. For a child, he added. 7 years old. Leukemia. There's a hospital 40 minutes from arrival. If I miss this flight, they miss their window. The captain's throat tightened. He looked down at the pass again. The letters hadn't changed, only the man reading them had. Pride slid down his spine like ice. Why first class? He managed. The cabin's cooler. Less shaking. Closer to the exit. He imagined the green diode hidden in that bag, steady as a heartbeat. A memory rose uninvited, his daughter at 3, fever burning, the helplessness of handing her to strangers in white coats. For a moment he tasted that helplessness again, metallic and humbling. The crowd changed too. Faces softened. A woman in gray covered her mouth. A teenager looked at his shoes. The gate agent blinked fast, pretending not to wipe her eyes. Bored, the captain said finally. The boy didn't move. Say it so they hear. A pause long enough to feel like confession. I was wrong, he said to the room. This passenger has medical priority. He boards now. I apologize for the delay. The scanner beeped, a small, bright sound in the heavy air. The boy stepped forward. At the threshold he turned, extended his hand. The captain took it. Be quick with the door, the boy said. Every minute counts. Inside the aircraft, light changed. Metal became warmer, sound softer. The attendant guided him to 2A, cleared space, adjusted airflow. The boy set the case on his lap, unzipped, checked a screen, numbers holding steady, a single green pulse. He exhaled. In the cockpit, the captain sat down slower than usual. His hands knew every switch, but his chest felt foreign. He requested a direct route, voice calm yet weighted. The tower granted silence as understanding. The plane lifted, engines building their long metallic hymn. At altitude, the cabin dimmed to amber. The flight attendant brought water. How's it holding? Perfect, the boy said. You do this often? When I can. Scary? He thought. Only when people make me wait. He smiled faintly. Mostly it's heavy. Not the bag. The reason. Why you? My mother once needed people who didn't hesitate. I guess I learned from that. She nodded and left him to his numbers. The captain stared ahead, sky-wide as regret. He thought about all the times he'd mistaken control for virtue. Pride makes strange prayers. Descent began. The captain's voice came through the speakers, lower than before. As we land, please stay seated. Sometimes a quick exit is about what someone else carries. Passengers exchanged glances, no one argued. The landing was smooth, the kind that feels like forgiveness. No rush for overhead bins, just quiet compliance. The captain left the cockpit, hat in hand. The boy rose, bag hugged close. The air between them held something fragile but unbroken. At the door, the captain whispered, I owe you more than an apology. I owe you the door. He opened it himself. Beyond waited a woman with a hospital badge, headset blinking. We've got him, she said into the static. The boy nodded once and followed, footsteps quick, precise, the rhythm of purpose. The captain watched until they disappeared through a red-lettered door that forbade entry yet somehow invited faith. He stayed there, feeling the echo of his own command dissolve. Passengers touched his shoulder, some consoling, some reproachful. He listened. He agreed. Each, "You're right," he spoke, loosened something he hadn't realized was clenched inside him. Later he powered down the cockpit, left the hat in his hand instead of on his head. Authority felt lighter when carried, not worn. Outside, under harsh sodium lights, a car waited with hazard lamps flashing. The boy slid in, still clutching the case. The city blurred past, wet asphalt reflecting blue and red from distant sirens. Inside the car he counted seconds, whispered numbers like prayers. In a hospital miles away, a nurse prepared sterile trays, parents held each other's hands until their knuckles blanched, a child lay still under a paper blanket. When the door burst open and the courier entered, the nurse saw the diode glowing steady green. She nodded once. Hope resumed breathing. Hours later, the boy returned to the airport's quieter side. He texted, "Delivered. Heading home." His mother's reply came instantly, "Hearts, then proud of you." A shadow crossed his sneakers. The captain stood there, hat in one hand, sleep lost behind his eyes. "We landed early," he said. "Everyone helped." "Thank you," the boy answered. "May I carry it next time?" "You can walk with me," the boy said. "I'll still carry it." They walked together toward the terminal's fork. "Will I see you again?" the captain asked. "If you keep looking," the boy said. "We're everywhere. We don't always have a bag." Then he vanished through the glass, leaving the older man standing in reflection, seeing himself smaller and, somehow, freer. Weeks later, another gate, another day. The captain watched a different boy, same nervous composure, and a different uniformed man preparing to draw a boundary. He stepped forward first, tilted the ticket to the light, read the small print completely. "Welcome aboard," he said. The boy blinked, surprised by simple decency. If your chest felt tight hearing this, it's because you've stood at gates like that, where someone's dignity waited on another's decision. Don't let that feeling fade when the screen dims. Subscribe to King of Tales. Share this story so more people remember that power is borrowed and respect is earned. Look at your hands. Are they holding a door, or holding it closed? Sometimes the difference is a life you'll never meet. Almost equals 15,000 characters, cinematic, emotionally expanded version suitable for 15 minutes of narration, with reflective ending and integrated CTAs. He pressed the boarding pass to his chest as if paper could shield him from what was coming. The man in the hat with gold braid stepped into his path, a smile polished by authority. "Not this line," he said, loud enough for the gate to fall silent. The boy stayed still. 16, too young to wear that calm. Hoodie zipped to the neck, backpack slung low. His stillness said, "I belong." The captain's eyes said, "Prove it." Announcements echoed from the ceiling. Families moved like small storms of luggage and noise. Beyond the glass, light turned the wings silver. The boy took one step forward, steady as breath. The captain's arm came up, a wall. "Ticket." He didn't look at it, he looked at the boy's shoes, the faded hoodie, the worn bag. "I have it," the boy said, voice even. He offered the pass. The captain pinched it between two fingers. The people in line began to watch. "First class," the captain read. "Seat 2A. Yours?" "Yes." "Bought it yourself?" "Yes." "How old are you?" 16. "Where are your parents?" "Working." "What's in the bag?" "Clothes," the boy said, then after a heartbeat, "and something fragile." The captain lifted the pass to the light, as though truth hid in the paper fibers. A flight attendant approached. "Captain, boarding's backing up." "It'll wait." He looked into the boy's eyes, expecting fear, finding calm. You don't look like a 2A. What does 2A look like? That question lingered. The air changed. Listen, the captain said. Board with Group 5. The back's nice. The pass says now. He angled the ticket for the agent to scan, his thumb covering the small print beneath the seat number. Step aside until I verify. There isn't time. There's time for whatever I say there's time for. The boy tightened his grip on the bag. Please, he said quietly, I'll miss my window. What window? He didn't answer. Security arrived, reading the tension. Problem? No issue, the captain said. The officer reached for the ticket and read it completely. Under seat 2A it said, medical priority, courier ID LYS 14. He looked up. He needs to board. What's in the bag? Bone marrow, the boy said. The word emptied the air. For a child, he added. 7 years old. There's a hospital 40 minutes from arrival. If I miss this flight, the window closes. The captain looked down at the pass again. The letters were the same, but pride had changed shape inside him. Why first class? The cabin's cooler. Closer to the exit. Less jostling. The case tolerates only a few degrees of swing. He imagined the diode inside blinking like a heartbeat and, for an instant, remembered his daughter at 3, burning with fever and the helplessness of giving her to strangers who could help. The memory softened him. Around them people remembered their own reasons to care. Bored, he said. The boy didn't move. Say it so they hear. He swallowed. I was wrong, he said to the line. This passenger has medical priority. He boards now. I apologize. The scanner beeped, the sound felt like absolution. The boy stepped forward, then turned and offered his hand. Be quick with the door, he said. Every minute counts. Inside, light changed from harsh to calm. The flight attendant guided him to 2A. He unzipped the bag, checked the green light, closed it again, exhaled. In the cockpit, the captain sat down heavily. His hands moved by habit, but his thoughts stayed at the gate. He asked the tower for a direct route, a favor granted in silence. The plane lifted into the thin gold of evening. At altitude, the attendant brought water. How's it holding? Perfect. Do this often? When I can. Scary? Only when people make me wait, he said, smiling faintly. Mostly it's heavy. The reason, not the weight. She left him to his quiet. The captain stared at the horizon until sky and regret felt like one color. Descent began. His voice came over the speakers, softer. As we land, please stay seated. Sometimes a quick exit isn't impatience, it's mercy. The landing was smooth. No one rushed. The captain stepped out, hat in hand. The boy rose, bag hugged close. At the door, the captain said, I owe you the door. He opened it himself. A woman with a hospital badge waited. We've got him, she said into her headset. The boy followed, steps light but sure. The captain watched them vanish through the red-marked doorway. He felt the silence wrap around him like consequence and grace combined. Passengers approached, some kind, some sharp. He didn't defend himself. You're right, he said. Each time he spoke, something unknotted inside him. Later, beneath the white roar of the tarmac, he left the hat in his hand instead of on his head. Authority felt lighter when carried instead of worn. In the city beyond, a car with clearance lights cut through traffic. The boy rode in back, eyes on the glowing diode. At the hospital, nurses waited, parents prayed, and a child's breath fluttered beneath a paper blanket. When the courier arrived, the nurse checked the numbers, nodded once, and hope began again. Hours later, the boy sat at a quiet gate. Delivered. Heading home, he texted. His mother's reply came, "Proud of you." A shadow fell over him. The captain stood there, tired, changed. "We landed early," he said. "Everyone helped. Thank you. May I carry it next time?" "You can walk with me," the boy said. "I'll still carry it." They walked together until the hallway split. "Will I see you again?" "If you keep looking," the boy said. "We're everywhere. We don't always have a bag." Weeks later, another airport, another line. A young traveler. A uniformed man ready to draw a border. The captain stepped in first, tilted the pass to the light, read every word. "Welcome aboard," he said. The boy blinked, uncertain why kindness felt so unusual. If your chest tightened, it's because you've stood at a gate like that, where power meets dignity and must choose. Don't let it fade when the screen goes dark. Subscribe to King of Tales. Share this story. Remember that authority is borrowed and respect is earned. Look at your hands, are they holding a door, or holding it closed? Sometimes the smallest opening lets an entire life through.